The case of the Lady of the Dunes remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. On that fateful day in 1974, the discovery of the unidentified woman's body by a young girl and her dog sent shockwaves through the community of Provincetown, Massachusetts. Despite extensive investigation efforts, the identity of the victim and the circumstances surrounding her death continue to elude authorities. The victim, described as having red hair tied back in a ponytail, was found lying face down on a beach blanket, her lifeless body betraying no signs of struggle. The cause of death, a fatal blow to the head, was determined to have occurred several weeks prior to the discovery. The absence of disturbance in the sand and on the beach blanket suggested a deliberate placement of the corpse, leading investigators to believe that the victim either knew her assailant or was asleep at the time of the attack. Despite the discovery of footprints and tire tracks near the crime scene, the loose sand and passage of time rendered them inconclusive for investigative purposes. Despite extensive searches of the surrounding area, no further evidence was unearthed. The victim's physical description provided by the medical examiner, approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing 145 lbs, with an athletic frame, offered little in the way of identifying her. However, the revelation of costly dental work, including crowns valued at thousands of dollars, hinted at a potential avenue for identifying her. The removal of her hands and some teeth only deepened the mystery, sparking speculation that the killer sought to conceal either the victim's identity or their own. Despite tireless efforts by investigators from the Massachusetts State Police and the Provincetown Police Department, the case of the Lady of the Dunes remained stubbornly unsolved. With no viable means of identifying her through conventional methods such as fingerprints or dental records, her story became a haunting enigma that endured for nearly half a century. She became known as the Lady of the Dunes, a poignant moniker reflecting the desolate landscape where her body was discovered. Over the years, authorities sifted through countless missing person reports in search of a potential match, yet their efforts yielded no results. In a bid to unravel the mystery, forensic experts employed various techniques, including facial reconstruction. Despite these endeavors, her identity remained elusive. Even exhumations of her remains in 1980 and 2000 failed to provide any breakthroughs. Hope flickered anew in 2010 when advanced imaging technology allowed for a more detailed facial reconstruction. Utilizing this cutting-edge approach, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children endeavored to breathe life into the haunting visage of the unknown woman. The intrigue surrounding the Lady of the Dunes took an unexpected turn in 2015 when rumors surfaced linking her to the iconic film Jaws. Speculation arose that she may have appeared as an extra in the movie's beach scenes, wearing attire reminiscent of the clothing found on her body. However, this tantalizing lead ultimately proved to be mere conjecture, dissipating into the realm of speculation. Another avenue of investigation involved Rory John Kissinger, a fugitive who had escaped from a Plymouth, May jail in 1973. With Kissinger fitting the profile of a potential suspect, having been 25 years old at the time of the murder, investigators pursued this lead diligently. The resolution to the decades-long mystery surrounding the Lady of the Dunes unfolded with a series of significant breakthroughs. Authorities, noting a resemblance between the victim and Rory John Kissinger, initially explored the possibility of a connection. However, DNA testing of Kissinger's mother ultimately dispelled any links between the two. In 2022, a pivotal turn came when the skeletal remains were entrusted to Othram, a corporation specializing in forensic genetic genealogy. Through meticulous analysis, an ADNA profile was generated in the hopes of uncovering the victim's identity by tracing distant relatives. The culmination of these efforts came on October 31, 2022, when the FBI field office in Boston announced a monumental breakthrough. The long unidentified Lady of the Dunes was finally identified as Ruth Mary Terry, a 38-year-old woman from Whiteville, Tennessee, who had vanished without a trace in 1974. However, the revelation of Terry's identity only served to deepen the mystery surrounding her tragic demise. Authorities provided no information regarding potential suspects or the circumstances that led Terry from Tennessee to Massachusetts at the time of her murder. The FBI confirmed that Terry's identity was established through investigative genealogy, a method that had recently gained prominence in unmasking criminals, notably in the case of the Golden State Killer. With Ruth Mary Terry's identity finally uncovered, law enforcement turned their attention to her husband, Guy Rockwell Murdaugh. Suspicion had long surrounded Murdaugh, who had a troubled history marked by allegations of violence. He was previously implicated in the 1950 murder of a bread truck driver and his girlfriend in Eureka, California. Furthermore, Moldavin's past raised additional red flags. In 1958, he married Manzanita Eileen Ryan, whose daughter from a previous marriage disappeared along with her mother in Seattle in 1960. Manzanita's remains were later discovered in their home septic tank. While Moldavin evaded official charges for these crimes, he faced legal consequences for evading testimony regarding their deaths. Moldavin's troubled history extended beyond his marriage to Ruth Marie Terry. In August 10, 1963, he embarked on yet another marital union, this time in Los Angeles. However, his penchant for deception and criminality soon resurfaced when he faced charges for embezzling $10,000 from his new wife's family. Despite being convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison, Moldavin's sentence was suspended in March 1962 under the condition that he repay the stolen sum within 11 years. Finding himself in Reno, Nevada, Moldavin's path crossed with Ruth Marie Terry's in February 1974. Their whirlwind romance culminated in marriage, but Terry's grannies later spoke of concerning shifts in Terry's demeanor whenever she was in Moldavin's presence, noting his possessive tendencies. In the months leading up to Terry's tragic demise, the couple embarked on a journey across the United States in pursuit of antiques. Their travels brought them to Chattanooga, where they visited Terry's half-brother and his wife before expressing intentions to venture to Massachusetts. However, tragedy struck when Terry met her untimely end in late summer 1974. Moldavin returned to Tennessee alone, informing Terry's family that she had vanished from their California home. Suspicions surrounding Moldavin's involvement grew as investigators delved into the circumstances surrounding Terry's disappearance. Despite claims by a private investigator hired by Terry's family suggesting that Terry had willingly abandoned her life, evidence at the crime scene pointed to a more sinister conclusion. The absence of signs of struggle suggested that Terry likely knew her attacker intimately. As the years passed, Moldavin continued to lead a shadowy existence, moving to a small town near Salinas in 1976 and marrying once again. His later years were marked by a career shift, hosting a late-night local radio show until his passing in 2002 at the age of 78, shrouded in speculation regarding his involvement in Terry's murder. With the truth about Ruth Marie Terry's fate finally unveiled and Moldavin no longer able to elude justice, her case was officially closed in mid-2023. While questions may linger, her family can find solace in the closure that has long eluded them, honoring her memory as they seek to move forward from the shadows of the past.